Okay, today we're going to be making the most delicious spiced apple cake that is going to leave your house smelling incredible. It's made up of soft apple cake layers that are packed with fresh apples and heaps of spices, a tart apple filling, and a creamy cinnamon cream cheese frosting. This apple cake is literally out of this world. So to start off, you want to preheat your oven to 180°C or 350°F conventional and generously grease two 8-inch cake tins. Today I'm just using my homemade cake release to grease my tins. It honestly works so well. I have the full recipe on how to make this on cakesbymk.com. Now just pop your cake tins aside for now, and next we're going to sift together our dry ingredients. So I've got 270 grams or 2 1/4 cups of plain all-purpose flour, 30 grams or 1/4 cup of cornstarch, 1 1/2 teaspoons of baking powder, half a teaspoon of baking soda, half a teaspoon of salt, 2 1/2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, 1 1/2 teaspoons of ground ginger powder, half a teaspoon of ground cloves, and half a teaspoon of ground nutmeg. Give that a good mix with a whisk until it's well combined and set it aside for now. Next, we're going to prepare our apples. So for this recipe, you're going to need 300 grams or 2 cups of finely shredded red apples, which is about 2 medium to large sized apples, and any type of cooking apple like Jazz, Royal, Gala, or Honeycrisp apples will work. Now what I like to do is I just grate the whole apple, and so I just start on one side, grate it down to the core, so try and get as close as possible, and then once you've reached the core, just kind of rotate the apple and then keep grating. And then once you're done, you should just be left with the core of the apple remaining. So once you've grated your apples and you've measured it all out, then you just want to set it aside for now, and next in a large bowl you want to add in 300 grams or 1 1/2 cups of soft light brown sugar, 3 large room temperature eggs, 210 grams or 1 cup of unflavoured vegetable oil, I use canola oil, 60 grams or 1/4 cup of room temperature whole milk, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and our apples from earlier. So again, you're going to need 300 grams or 2 cups of finely shredded apples. And then using a whisk, you just want to give that a good mix until it's well combined and smooth. Now to finish off the batter, all you have to do is add your dry ingredients to your wet ingredients, and then using a spatula, gently fold until just combined. You don't want to overmix, so you want to stop when you can't see any more streaks of unmixed flour and the batter looks like it's evenly mixed. So that is our batter all done. So easy, and now you just want to evenly distribute this into our prepared cake pans from earlier. Now once all the batter is in, I like to just weigh my cake tins just to make sure that I have an even amount in each cake tin. And then you want to drop the cake tins lightly on the counter to remove any large air bubbles. And now these are going to go into the oven for 30 to 33 minutes, or until a toothpick inserted into the center comes out clean or with a few moist crumbs on it. So my cakes are all done now. I honestly wish you guys could smell through the screen because these just smell incredible. They've been cooling in the cake tins for about 20 minutes just to give them some time to firm up a little. And now I'm just running a thin knife along the edges to release the cakes from the cake tins and turning them out onto a wire rack to completely cool. Now if you take a closer look at these cake layers, you can see just how incredibly soft and moist they are. Now while these cakes are cooling, we're going to go ahead and make our apple filling and cinnamon cream cheese frosting. So for the apple filling, you're going to need 150 grams or 1 cup of finely shredded apple, which is about 1 medium to large sized apple. You want to add that to a saucepan along with 50 grams or 1/4 cup of soft light brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of water, 2 teaspoons of cornstarch, half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 3 teaspoons of freshly squeezed lemon juice, and 56 grams or 1/4 cup of unsalted butter. Now you want to place that over a medium heat and allow it to cook until the butter and sugar is completely melted, and then you want to continue to let it cook for about another 5 minutes or so until the mixture has nicely thickened up. So you want most of that liquid to be gone. So once it looks like this, you want to take it off the heat and just place it into a bowl and set it aside to cool. Next is our cinnamon cream cheese frosting. So to a large bowl, add in 225 grams or 1 cup of room temperature unsalted butter, and using a hand or stand mixer on a medium to high speed, cream the butter for a few minutes until it's light and fluffy. Next, you want to add in 570 grams or 4.5 cups of powdered sugar in 3 batches while mixing on a low speed, making sure that each batch is mixed in well before adding in the next. Now, this does seem like a lot of powdered sugar, but trust me, this frosting isn't overly sweet and it's really well balanced. Next, you want to add in 335 grams or 1.5 cups of cold cream cheese. You want to make sure that you're using a firm cream cheese, 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla, 1.5 tablespoons of freshly squeezed lemon juice, and 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. And then you just want to mix that in until everything is well combined and smooth. You don't want to overmix though, because the more you mix, the softer your frosting is going to become. And then that is our super delicious cinnamon cream cheese frosting all done. So my cake layers are completely cool now, as well as my apple filling, so we're going to start stacking this cake. Now the cake layers are already quite flat, so I'm only trimming off a small amount off the top to level them out. Next, I'm placing my first cake layer onto my cake stand, and then spreading out a generous amount of my cinnamon cream cheese frosting on the top with my offset spatula. I'm then going to place some of the frosting into a piping bag with a 1M piping tip on it, and I'm going to pipe a border of frosting on the top of the cake layer, and this is going to prevent our filling from seeping out the edges of the cake. So once that border is done, my apple filling is going to go into the middle, and you want to make sure that it's completely cool, otherwise it's going to melt your frosting and you're just going to end up with a big mess. I'm then placing my next cake layer on top and spreading out a generous amount of the frosting on the top and sides of the cake so that it's completely covered. I'm then using my cake scraper to smooth out the sides, and then I'm using my offset spatula to bring that top lip of frosting into the middle of the cake so that I have some nice smooth edges. Now to finish off, I'm just using the same piping bag from earlier with the 1M piping tip on it, and I'm just doing some piping around the top edges of the cake. Now you can totally continue to decorate this cake however you like, but that is my spiced apple cake all done. This apple cake is honestly on another level. The cake layers are so well spiced and moist, and that apple filling has a wonderful tart flavor to it, which just helps to kind of cut through the sweetness of that cinnamon cream cheese frosting. It all just works together so well. The flavors running through this cake are honestly on another level. It just tastes incredible. If you're someone who really likes kind of like spiced flavors and, you know, apple pie, then you are going to love this cake. And I love that this cake isn't overly sweet. That cream cheese frosting just has like the perfect level of sweetness, and that apple filling also helps kind of cut through some of the sweetness because it has a nice tart flavor to it. So that is it for today, guys. If you do decide to give this spiced apple cake a go and you love it just as much as I do, then please do leave a review on my blog. It really helps my content out, and I absolutely love hearing from you guys. I'll see you in the next video.